because I don't want anyone sexier than me on this couch. Yeah.
Why she never did these ones.
Right now, just decent. Okay, so this is Amalia, and we grabbed her after this meeting that we were at, and she actually works at the salon that I get my hair done. And my letting the gray go is not a statement against you guys.
Oh, you're fine.
It's a statement about my life, and then my husband's like, oh, you're letting it go, it's cute. And I was like, whoa, you think it's cute? Because, but she's just this cute, service-oriented girl, but we've never like talked about what makes you tick, like the thing.
Yeah.
So you just gave me like a little precursor. Do you want to go there, or do you want to give me something else?
The kids?
Yeah. I mean, you had a kid. You just said you're 28.
I'm 28 and
you had a 7-year-old.
A 7-year-old, yes.
And a
5-year-old.
5-year-old. So you had kids before you hit 25.
So
Yeah.
I was actually in hair school, and I was of the belief that I was never going to get married, and I was just going to travel the world and all the fun things. And I met my husband and we were dating, and I told him this because he's from rural Utah, and our lives, we had nothing in common except for like our connection. And so I was
And that's actually a surprisingly good foundation to build on, because then you communicate more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I still ask him like stupid questions about like, oh, so how were you raised? You know, like, why does
It's not
this make
stupid
sense?
questions.
Yeah, no,
it's stupid.
It's
That's
funny.
called getting into people and communicating and learning, because if you find common ground, you can learn to respect anyone.
Yeah. So I was living in Salt Lake going to hair school, and we actually met up in Logan, and he is going to school at that time to be a farmer.
Yeah, and so being a farmer and traveling the world are two opposite things.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and we knew this. The week actually that I found out I was pregnant, I was very emotional, and I was like, oh my God, our lives are never gonna cross, so we should break up. And then I found out I was pregnant, but it was really funny because I went to my mom like after a month of fear, and she was funny. Like I pulled her aside, and every person did this that I talked to. I was like, hey, like I have something to talk to. My mom's like, you're pregnant, like so excited.
So they were okay.
They were okay. They loved it.
So they loved you, but were they nervous for you being 20?
Kind of.
Because I admit it, if my daughter came to me 20, she's a very brilliant, smart girl.
Right.
I'd be like, sweetie cakes. This is going to be hard work.
Right.
Yeah.
See, my parents and everyone I told was more
And I would
baby
want
hungry.
her. I might be guilty of baby hungry sometimes too, but it's hard work, and I'm a full fan of being a mom.
Right. So I sat there with my mom, and she's asked me that. She's like, well, what's your plan? And I was like, okay, so I'm going to still go to hair school. And then I told her, I was like, then we probably won't get married until we decide, and then where I'm going to live and where he's going to live and what life's going to be like. And my mom's like, hold on, put on the brakes. And she's like, let's talk realistic here. She's like, what insurance do you have? And
Yes, I like your mom. I like your mom. Yeah.
And then she's like, what about the dad? Do you want him in your life? And you want him in your kid's life and all these things.
Yeah.
So after about a 2-hour conversation, I decided to drop out of hair school and move up and support my husband through school with the sole promise that I was going to go back to school when he was done.
Which you did.
We did. I did.
Yeah.
I became a hairdresser.
Because you touched my hair.
Yeah. I work. So yeah.
I think that's amazing, because I always talk about leaning into the tough conversations. Your mom could have, freaked out. That wasn't the ideal, or the list.
Right.
There's many Hallmark movies made over all the list of possible reactions. I love that she leaned in to that conversation, being like, okay, great, I'm glad you're in love. Let's talk realities, let's talk practicalities. I love that.
Yeah, see, and what's hard is when so we were going through all this, I got married in a month, like I did it all simple, and I was talking to my husband, and his family was opposite reaction, and they were very upset with him. I don't think he talked to his dad for about a month. He still doesn't talk to his brother, and just everyone that he talked to, how did that happen? That was the first thing they asked.
How did that happen? That's not what this is about.
No.
Because I can tell you how that happens, because I do maturation programs, but even those kids, I'm like, talk to your mama.
Well, they were more like behavioral thing, like what did we do wrong to get you to have a baby at 20?
Yeah,
it was hard.
They internalize that.
Yeah.
No, it's called biology. And, it's like, I waited until I was, that's a long story. But basically with my husband, everyone's like, well, you guys haven't had sex? And I'm like, now how does that happen? And I'm like, well, it hasn't. There are tools to help you not get there.
Right.
And just saying don't do that, which is a very natural biology thing, is not insulating your child from not making you a grandbaby before they get married. You have to lean in to those conversations, lean into, I have a 16-year-old son being offered the things on the social media, you know, and you know, that's not a conversation to be like, oh, that girl's bad, that girl's bad. I mean, these are people, these are human beings, right?
Right.
This is what I am going to say to my son is you can never, I don't know if we want to go, I'll just say it. I tell my son, you put your penis in a girl's mouth, bum, or vagina, that is violating what you are not able to do yet. You are not emotionally, psychologically, and we go into the spiritual, the mental, the physical. You're not even capable of being an adequate companion to her physically. It's going to be a nice experience for you and kind of for her, you know. I mean, those are the kinds of things I'm having with my son to help prepare him to understand that it's better if he waits until he's at least a functioning man.
Right. See, my husband and I are actually having those conversations now because he was raised so conservative in such a naive small town of Utah.
Which
and then
conservative and naive
are two totally
they
different.
are. I mean, I would like to say that they are, you know, because I've seen people that don't have conservative beliefs that are naive.
Yes.
It's not being taught, and we only know what we're taught, and we can keep people in one stream of thought. They're not exposed to other ideas, and the idea of becoming well-rounded is knowing all the different ideas and then making a decision because of conversation and what you value.
Right. Now we're starting to get into the fact of like, when our kids are older, what are we going to let them do?
Okay,
What are we
no,
gonna let
not
them
when
say?
they get older.
Like now.
It's now. You start.
It is now. It broke my heart.
I'm going to give you some old lady advice because I raised 31 children and they're all amazing. You know, is that you have all the conversations when you hear, you know, about suicide. Talk to your kid about, you know, and imagine that being your kid. Be alarmed as a parent, and being aware will help you cushion your child as they go into life because they know you're that safe place. So I do that when my son comes to me and he's like, hey, so there's a kid at school passing out drugs. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So hey, why don't we talk for a minute? It's 20 minutes in of me just kind of asking gentle questions before I find out he didn't take it. But because I was calm and asking questions, he let me know there was a boy that had taken 9 of these pills that they don't know what they are.
Oh my goodness.
So then I'm like, oh, okay, what do you think the consequences could be for him? So again, I know exactly. Eventually I get my son to call the boy who tells his mom they have a stomach pumped. You know what I mean? And, you know, possibly saved a kid's life because we're calm. But being calm on the 7-year-old conversations to the 8-year-old, and now I'm getting the 16-year-old ones where I know more than some of the parents about the kids, and I'm like, crap, now I got to call the parent and be like, hey, your kid's gonna make you a grandparent. And they're 15, you know what I mean?
Right.
And we lean in. We can't ever inoculate our children from catching something, but we can help them to know where to get the remedy.
Right.
And to know that there's always, our hospital heart is always gonna be there for them no matter what. That's my
Well, thank you.
parenting advice.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being
Thanks.
here. We're doing the hugs with this one because you're not strangers. I've known you forever.